Okay, if you're new here, I set myself a goal 3 months ago to complete an Olympic distance triathlon with very little experience and a lot of doubt, not really being able to swim. You've probably already seen the title now, and if you follow me on social media, you'll see I finished the race. So this is the final video of the series where I get to race day, tell you how I feel. I'll talk a little bit later about how I felt after the race, how it went, and of course, my result. So it's time to get into it. Okay, we're here. It is finally race day and I'm running around the house trying to get things done because I need to be outdoor in 15 minutes to travel to this race. Fed the dog. Time to eat something that's not going to upset my stomach over the next, 5 hours. I have to drive to the race. It's going to be an hour. Then I need to pick up my race number before the race starts. So it's now 7 a.m. Race starts at 10 a.m. I think I'm ready. I didn't have a great night's sleep because I was anticipating the race. And actually pretty much all week I've been pretty tired because just anticipation. I feel like I've actually been sick, which I don't think I was. I think it's just my brain is racing, trying to go through transitions and trying to believe in myself that this swim is actually going to go okay. But look, we're here now. Last night I kind of felt a bit nearly emotional that the day is finally here. Like we're finally at the weekend of what I've worked on for the last 3 months, which honestly isn't very long. I've heard of other people training for 6 months or a year, but maybe their athletic base was not very good. But I think sometimes a little bit of reckless confidence gets you a long way, because having the race scheduled, I had to work. I had to put in the work to get ready for today. And hopefully by the end of this video, I will be running over a finish line, or at least back home alive, uninjured, and with a medal. So look, I don't want to get too caught up in doing this video and then forget that I'm supposed to leave in the next 15 minutes. But I feel good. My ankle is improving a little bit, so I don't think it's going to ruin my race. Like it's not so bad when I'm on the bike and I'm only running 10k, which I can take slow. Certainly when I've just done a 40k bike ride, I'm probably going to want to take that slow anyway and just get through it. I'm not really going for a time, but for my first one, if I could do 3.5 hours, if we could get close to 3 hours, I'd be pretty impressed. But if I miss the 3 hour mark, then I'm just going to have to go and do another one and see if I can get better the next time. I think I can improve my swim. I think that's undoubtable. But if I was to I think I could do the swim in half an hour now. If I was to get 10% better, I'm only going to knock 3 minutes off the swim. So there's a lot of work would have to go in for me to get 10% better. I think getting 10% better on the bike or the run would be a better time payoff. If I can knock, the run might take me an hour. The swim might take me, 2, or the cycle might take me 2. So if we can knock 20 minutes off the cycle, that's going to be a much easier way to get to that 3 hour mark. But look, I'm going to eat my breakfast and I'll meet you in the car. Okay, we're finally on the road, eating my Rice Krispie Square, which I'm told is good. I can't tell you exactly why. Rice Krispies are slow release. I think it's Rice Krispies, then Cocoa Pops would be the next best thing, cornflakes, and then Frosties. So something pretty simple, but obviously not too much fibre, because too much fibre will get the bowels moving, and you don't want the bowels moving over the next 4 hours for me anyway. 3 or 3.5 hours for the race. So there is toilets throughout, but we won't go into that too much. You don't want to find yourself in a position that you need the toilet and there's no toilet for 5 or 10 kilometers. So you do need to watch what you eat first thing in the morning. I am in the car, as you can see, so maybe some of the audio is terrible on this and I might have to do a voiceover of some of it, or just not use it at all. But at least it'll pass the time for me to talk to you and let you know how I feel a little bit at the minute. Like I said in the last clip, last night I was half nervous, half excited. It was kind of just an emotional roller coaster because admittedly I'm not where I want to be for this race, but I'm quietly confident that I can finish the race, which I guess is a weird conversation to be having en route to the race, because there is a chance I don't finish this and that I get kicked out of the water. But if I get out of the water, I'm pretty confident that I'll slog through the rest of it. I will finish the race, like that I will get through the cycle and the run, despite having never swam 1500 meters in open water, and I actually haven't done 40 kilometers on a bike either. So I will be doing both of those things for the first time back to back in the race today, provided I finish. So if I have a medal in 4 hours time, I managed to do it. But I know the swim is going to be tough, but I think if I just keep going, as long as I keep moving forward, they're not going to kick me out. And I think with the breaststroke I can breathe, so it's just a thing of durability, and I think I'm capable of doing an endurance race. I think I'll suffer through it and I'll get out. So hopefully I'm just not too tired getting on the bike, but that'll just mean taking it slow at the start of the bike, and I'll probably have the same review afterwards, that I've had to take it slow at the start of the bike and then I got into my rhythm in the middle. I'll probably slow down towards the end of the bike in preparation for the run, and hopefully my legs won't be too bricked. So we've talked about brick sessions. Hopefully a kilometre into the run I'll be back in my rhythm and I'll be able to just get through and enjoy the run, because look, I'm not competing for the win here. I am just out to enjoy myself and have a bit of fun, see if I can do it, and then hopefully prove to some of you that if you put your mind to it, you can go out, you can enjoy it, you don't have to win the race, and it can be a fun day out. I will try and shoot some footage of the event. I'm flying solo. I'm here in the car. I think you can see the passenger seat. Emily is at a hen party, so she's not able to attend the race today. My mum is going to show up, but she's not a cameraman extraordinaire, so she's probably not going to take too much footage of the event. But down there, these events usually assume that you have family with you, so there's going to be kids running around, there's going to be husbands and wives waiting for their partners to come in. So they do organise a big event. There'll be a barbecue, there'll be food trucks, play areas, a lot of people will be down there with their dogs. It's a big day out for people. So even if you don't want to compete, you can still attend these events and enjoy the day, watch other people compete, see what it looks like when other people are doing the event. Because getting into triathlons, there's a misconception that everybody else has it all figured out and everybody else is going to be so perfect at it. But if you watch the swim, and usually there's like pros or elites will go first, so you'll see that race go off and you'll realise that not everybody has got, well, the pros probably should, but that some of those guys are doing the breaststroke as well. Nobody's doing, a lot of them are not doing the full front stroke for the whole 1500 meters, and hopefully that'll give you confidence that, okay, I don't need to be perfect either. And there probably won't be a lot of footage in my swim today, but you can trust me, it's not going to be pretty, but it's going to get done. That is the goal for today. Hopefully the bike and the run will be a little bit prettier, but I'm still lacking some confidence on the bike. If you've watched the whole series, you'll know I fell off my bike 2 months ago, pretty early into my training, and broke my finger. But ultimately it was my fault, but I was going too fast and I wasn't fully in control of the bike. So that's on me. But now going down a hill and stuff, I'm still got my hands on the brakes. I'm not picking up too much speed. I'm still doing a consistent 25 to 30 kilometers an hour, so it's not terrible. I'm cycling 40k, so hopefully that means I can do that in under an hour and a half. So if I can do the bike in an hour and a half and I can do the swim in half an hour, I've run 10k in an hour before, so basic maths says I can aim for 3 hours, but look, it's a whole different ball game when you've got to do the events back to back, so we'll see how it works out. But for now I need to stop talking, start eating, get ready so that I'm not stuffing my face right before jumping in the water. Okay, I've had time to have a quick pit stop and try and pick up some water, which successfully did. Was also able to go to the toilet, so get that out of the way as well. I am very hydrated at the minute, which is positive. I've shot other footage throughout this drive. I don't know how much of it is usable. I know on the road generally it can get a bit loud, so hopefully you were able to hear everything I've said. But in summary, forgot my watch, still feeling a little bit nervous, which is normal. I know when they interview people in the Olympics, sadly I'm far away from the Olympics right now, but they'll never say that they were nervous. They'll always just say that they've had this nervous or excited energy before the race. They'll never call it nerves. So I'm just going to go with that. It is excitement because I'm 3 months waiting for this day, and now it's here. I'm finally going to go and do it and hopefully prove that I can do it. Even though I said earlier in the video, I've never swam 1500 meters in open water, but I think I can get through it if my life depends on it. And I've never cycled 40 kilometers in one go on a bike, but another thing I think I can do. So I will be doing the 1500 meter swim in open water and a 40k bike ride for the first time, back to back in the race today. But I'm going to do it. I'm going to manage it somehow. I've never done a race of this distance, so I don't know how I'm going to feel getting out on the run to do a 10k run, even though I've done 10 kilometers in training a couple of times and didn't kill me. I was able to do it in 50 minutes. So we'll see how things go today. I have forgotten my watch, so I'm not going to know when I'm out there how long has passed. I guess the transition area is at the start finish lines, so as I come through transitions I'll be able to look at the time on the finish. So normally over the finish line there's a big clock which will tell you how much time has passed. So when I go out on the run or when I come in from the water, I should probably be able to see how long that's taken me. Hopefully 30 minutes in the water, an hour and a half to an hour 45 on the bike, and then 1 hour running. So that's the goal. If I can get under 3.5, so 3 to 3.5 hours, I'll be happy. And that would mean nothing went wrong. But like I've said throughout this series, I could be 15 minutes into the swim and I could get tapped by a kayak and say, well, look, for your own safety, you gotta go. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But look, we'll see. We've come this far. We'll get to the start line, hopefully get to the finish line and enjoy the process, because that's all this is about really. I'm not going to qualify for the Olympics. I'm unlikely to represent my country at any point, so I'm just here for fun. So I need to go out there and enjoy it, because you've seen I've put in 3 months of hard work here, which I know other people have put in more than three months of hard work, but I've put in the work. Now game day is the time to just go and enjoy it, and if you put in the work, it's going to pay off and you're going to have a bit of fun today. If you haven't put in the work, today is going to be pretty tough. But I think I'm somewhere in the middle, where the swim is going to be tough, but hopefully once I get out of the water I can enjoy it from there. Much of all, it'll still be a little bit tough, but at least I'll be more in my comfort zone. So let's get to the race. Okay, and just like that, I am all the way home. As you've seen from the introduction, I did finish the race, but I like I said earlier, I didn't have anybody down there that was going to record anything for me. My mum, my aunt did show up eventually, so I will put in 2 clips that they sent me just of me coming over the final corner, and then me finishing the race, coming up to give my mum a hug, and you'll see my legs are absolutely buckled. It was a tough race, but that's the nature of these races. If I had a little bit more in the tank, I would have just went a little bit faster, which if I could have gone 6 minutes faster, that would have been great. I don't know if I mentioned earlier that I have managed to finish the race in 3 hours and 6 minutes, which is a good time for my first Olympic distance triathlon. So I should be happy, but throughout, and I've watched some of the clips back, and thankfully I am jumping between 3 hours and 3.5 hours. 3 hours was the optimistic goal. 3.5 was kind of my lower limit. I had to do it in 3.5, or otherwise I would have been upset if I couldn't do it in 3.5. Even though, having never done one before, I probably don't have a right to pick a time. But I wanted to do it in 3 hours to 3.5. I was 6 minutes slow, so it just means I'm going to have to find another one and go and do that. But after 12 weeks of training, I guess it's time to get into the race. How did it go? How did it feel? Was I happy with the results? What was the swim like? Because that's what I've been talking about for the last 3 months. That was going to be my biggest challenge. As I said in probably the last clip, or if not the one before that, when I was in the car, I had never swam 1,500 meters in open water before, and I had never cycled 40 kilometers on the bike in one go. So I was nervous about the 2 of them, not so nervous about the cycle. If I got tired, I could just slow down and just pedal slower and sit on the bike, have my little picnic, and eat and try and get my energy back. But the swim was a big fear to me, so let's get into the swim. So for the swim, I said my goal was to finish, just to get it done, and that's basically all I did. It wasn't anything special, but I did manage to get through it. There was about 75 people in the race. It was a standing start, so we swam out about 50 meters, get acclimatized, get used to the water, and then they blow a whistle and we would go. So it's 50 meters out, and then that's where you start, and then it's a 350 meter loop. So it was kind of a diamond, but for me, the real positive was half of that diamond, or half of the loop, was going to be pretty in close to the shore. So if you're not a very experienced or confident swimmer, half of that you could actually walk for a long section of it. At least 40% of that swim you could walk. So if you were getting tired, you can put your feet down. So I knew for that section, if I am really tired, I just need to push myself to get back to that section, and then I can walk or get my breath back, or stand and just get my breath and go again. They did say it was pretty warm, and we were all in wetsuits. So they said, well, if you're getting really tired, don't push yourself to go back out to the deep sides. Do just stop after 2 or 3 laps and get on your bike. But as you said, we're doing this for ourselves. I wasn't trying to win the race. I just wanted to finish it. I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it. So that wasn't going to be an option for me. I did have the option to put my feet down, get my breath, and start again. Because I'm a weak swimmer, I put myself pretty close to the back. So I'd let all the elites or the more experienced people go away. And I wasn't going to try and race them. I didn't want to get caught in the pack for 2 reasons. Because I don't want to get caught up with somebody else's pace and try and keep up with them, and then end up making myself way too tired and then not being able to finish the swim. But also, if you've done a triathlon before of any distance, you'll know in the swim, if you put yourself too far forward, there's going to be people swimming over you, they keep kicking your goggles, whatever. For me, I didn't want to compete with them, so it wasn't worth trying to get in the pack and trying to get out ahead of them. So for me, I just wanted to stick to the back of the pack, which I did consistently for the whole race. I was probably 80% of the way back. I wasn't way at the back because I knew I'm going to push myself. I knew I'm going to be able to do this swim. There's people at the back that probably would quit at some point, so I'd let them drift off to the back. There was 2 people with tow floats. I could see they were really nervous that they wanted to bring the float with them just in case they weren't able to get through. For me, I probably swam 400 meters front stroke. And then I lost my rhythm and started just doing the breaststroke. And then in patches, I managed to get back on the breaststroke with the loop, a long section of that being shallow. I could put my feet down. I got my feet down, got my breath back, and then got back into my front stroke for a little while. But I know, like, there was 2 people behind us with the toe floats. They never came near me. They were way back. But then there was a pack of probably 7 or 8 of us. But then by the last loop, there was only 4 of us left in it that were in that pack. The rest of them must have taken the short route out. And after 2 or 3 laps, just went in, got on their bike, and went from there. So I was one of the last people out of the water, but I kind of knew that was going to be the case. Out of about 75, I was probably the 70th person out of the water. But I would say if you are not experienced in the water, or not elite, if you're not very good at swimming, this is a good starter triathlon for you because of that long section. Well, 40% of the swim that you can just walk it, or stop and get your breath. So if you are a little bit nervous in the water like me, that was a good starter one. And I actually didn't know that going out there. I didn't know that there was going to be a long section where I would be able to get my breath. So that put me on ease a little bit. And that's part of the reason why I didn't record anything before the race. I just got down there, got my stuff ready, and you were only able to collect your bib 45 minutes before the race. So between the 45 minutes of picking up my bib, getting my gear, putting it in the zone, setting up my transitions, and then I probably had 15 minutes before the instructors were going to give us a brief of what the race was and how we would know where to turn off and stuff. There wasn't a lot of time, so between the nerves and the time limits, I didn't really feel like picking up the camera and shooting all of that. And like I said, my mum and my aunt came, but they weren't there at the start of the race. I think they showed up an hour after the race started. So I was out on the bike at that stage, and my wife wasn't available, so I had nobody there to shoot me coming in and out or trying to get some footage or B-roll of the event. So for me, the swim went the way I thought it was going to go, and actually probably a little bit better. But by the time I was getting out of the water, I had done the breaststroke so much. So that is one piece of advice I'll give people is do maybe get a coach, and that's certainly something I'm going to be doing before I get back in another race, is find somebody that can teach you to do the front stroke and to just be economical about it, because I used the breaststroke way too much, and after swimming for probably 35 minutes doing the breaststroke mostly, my legs were so tired getting out of the water, because there's that 50-meter section after you do the 4 laps. You've got to come back in, but then the water gets pretty shallow and it's probably only a foot or 2 deep, and I like my legs were so tired trying to push through that. I felt like I couldn't even lift my legs, and then you've got to run a 50-meter section to get to your bike, and I was basically dragging my legs while getting on a bike to do a 40k bike ride. I've talked in this series about brick sessions, but the brick sessions didn't prepare me for getting on the bike with my legs that tired. But as I've said with the brick sessions, while you're 5 minutes into the bike, everything's fine. Your legs are back working. But that was pretty fearful getting on the bike, thinking, oh, I'm way more tired than I thought I was going to be, and really fearful if I can do a 40k bike ride into a 10k run after that. But that's the nature of the beast. That's the game. It's trying to get over those hurdles, which in the end it worked out. So let's talk a little bit about the cycle. Now, when it came to the cycle for me was pretty uneventful. It was exactly what I thought it was going to be. I knew it would be tough. As I said, getting on the bike, my legs being pretty tired, that was scary enough. But if you've watched enough triathlon content, you'll know the bike is the time where you have a little bit of a picnic on the bike. You get your fuel in, whether that be water, electrolytes. For me, I had 2 gels,
One had caffeine, one was just a caffeine or an energy gel, and then I had a Rice Krispie cake. I had a Rice Krispie cake before the race as well. I had another one when I started running. So I know for me, if I eat too many gels, I'm just going to feel sick, so I didn't want that to happen. I got out on the bike. It was a 40k bike ride. I'd say it was 5k down to the road, and then it was 2 loops and then 5k back. So I don't know exactly what the measurements of the loops were. I know there was a half Ironman distance going as well, and they did 5k down. They did 4 loops and then back in. So it was pretty flat. There was 2 or 3 minor hilly sections, but they were totally fine. It was all well signposted, and they had stewards out there as well telling you when you were supposed to be turning. So you basically just kept going straight until somebody told you to turn. It was a pretty nice day, so maybe in the rain it might be a different experience, but for me it was pretty easy to do that cycle. Nobody wants to have to cycle up hills when your legs are tired, or when you have to do a 40k bike ride into a 10k run. So you want to keep your legs for the run. So I would say this, for a beginner, is a pretty okay race. It didn't push me too hard. I'm confident enough on the bike, outside of maybe the fall 6 weeks ago now. That kind of took away some of my confidence, certainly when my aero bars don't have brakes on them. So if I'm on the aero bars, I'm just pedaling and hoping for the best. I've got to move my arm to try and get back to the brakes. So for me, if you're a beginner like I am, that's a pretty good race. If you are in Ireland, to go and do that Celtic Warrior race. It was pretty well organised as well. I'll talk about the run in a minute, where everybody was very confused as to what distances they were supposed to be doing, or what distance the straight was. So that was the one thing that I probably would have changed, which could have been an easier signpost. But in terms of the bike, it went well for me. But like any triathlon, you'll know whatever the distance is, your brain gets really confused when you get off the bike and you start to try and run, because your legs are going like this, and then all of a sudden you're trying to run and you start to feel like you don't know how to run. So that's a little bit funny, but it was good. I was happy enough with it. It wasn't too long, but it did kill my legs a little bit, and the weather really helped with that. So I guess we'll talk about the run. Okay, the run was always going to be my favorite event. Thankfully, the triathlon is split the right way for me. I hate the swim. I'm okay with the bike, and then I'm more used to running. Sprinting was my first sport when I was 6 or 7 years old. But then I eventually dropped that because it was crap on the body and really sore on the legs. But I've played football for the last 20 years. So I'm used to being on 2 feet, and I'm a little bit more confident I'm not going to do any injuries like I would do on the bike. I'm less controlled on the bike. So I was always going to enjoy the run, but I knew from the brick sessions what it's going to feel like getting off the bike. Even then, you never get race feeling in a brick session. So coming off the bike, like, I thought I was pretty okay when I was on the bike for probably 5 kilometers. I knew I was tired, and I knew my legs were kind of coming back. But then when you get off the bike, you start to realize that your legs actually aren't as back as you thought they were. My mum and my aunt did actually get a clip of me coming back in on the bike. So they see me cycle past them, but she turned off the camera before I dismounted. It's the funniest thing to watch that T2 as people get off their bike to go into T2. It's like a crab trying to run forwards. Your legs are just going weird and they're jelly. But by the time I got out of T2, I was fine. So I changed my top. I had a cycling top on. So I had my gels and a Rice Krispie cake in the back. So I took that off for the run, put on a singlet, put on a hat, and changed my cycling shoes into runners. So I was probably in T2 for 3 minutes. So by the time I sat down to change my shoes, by the time I got back up, my legs were kind of feeling okay. So I was probably 100, 200 meters into the run, I started to feel a little bit okay. But like I said in the last clip, the confusion happens in this run because there was a half Ironman distance that had to do a half marathon, 21.1k. I had to do 10k. And then there was like a sprint triathlon, which I think was doing 2.5 kilometers. So as we go to this split section, I have to go right, go down to a turnoff, and then come back. And I'm used to running 5Ks in training. So I knew it was too short to go back to the other turnoff and come down. So I was pretty sure I had to do 2. But while I was asking around and everybody was asking the same question, based on their race, how many loops do I have to do? So I asked somebody that was doing the half Ironman, and he was in a lot of pain. So he begrudgingly shouted at me and a few others that I have to do 4 of these things, you only have to do 1. So he thought I was doing the fun run or the sprint distance. So I had to do 2. The half Ironman is doing, so this section was basically 5 kilometers. I had to do 2 of them. The Ironman was doing 4, and then the sprint was doing kind of half. They would go up, go left, turn off, and then come back. I had to go up, right, and then do 2 loops and go back, which was fine. For somebody that really doesn't know a whole lot about nutrition, my AI stood good for me. I had Rice Krispie cake before and a lot of water. I had a Rice Krispie cake on the bike and then another one when I started running. And in total, I had 2 carb gels and 1 carb gel that had caffeine in it. And that was good for me for 3 hours. I don't know if I've mentioned before that time kind of annoyed me, but that I managed to... It's probably good that I forgot my watch. That because if I realized that I was pretty close to the 3-hour mark, I probably would have pushed myself. And then I could have blown up and then not finished the race at all. So I was 6 minutes slow. It just means I'm going to have to book another one and try and beat that time. Try and see if I can get it down under the 3-hour mark. But then once I get under 3 hours, I don't know where I go from there. Do I try and get to 2.5? I don't know if that's even possible. I'm sure it is. But right now, it's not for me. But I was pretty happy with the race. Even with that, the run, which was a little bit confusing, now you know the route. So if you do decide to go and do that race, which I think for beginners, it is actually a pretty good race. And if I had friends that were looking at doing it, I would advise them to go and do that one. It's not with Triathlon Ireland, so I didn't have to get the race license with Triathlon Ireland. But now after doing a little bit more research, I could there was one pretty close to my house the next day. It was half the distance, so it was a 750 meter swim, 20k bike ride, and then a 5k run. So it was only half the distance of mine, so I probably would have chosen to do the Celtic Warrior anyway. And at least for me, the joke I'm making is that if I was to fail, nobody's going to know me down there, whereas locally here, people would recognize me, as in friends and family or people that I've been playing football with for the last number of years. So if they see me struggling through and failing or getting pulled out of the water, that would have been more embarrassing than failing an hour and a half drive from where I live. So all in all, I wish I went under 3 hours, but for my first Olympic distance triathlon, getting under 3.5 hours is a pretty good achievement. So I'll take that win. I'm happy enough with it. And I'm also happy that it means I'm just going to have to book another one. So I guess that's it for the run. I don't know what's next. We have booked a run. So in 5 weeks time now, I have a half marathon, probably an hour and a half's drive from here, down on the cliffs of Lahinch. So that should be a bit of fun. And I will have people with me for that. So hopefully I'll get some B-roll, or people will show me doing the run. I don't know what the training plan is because I signed my wife up as well, and she's going to do a 10k down there. But in her first training session, she seems to have got a grade 2 tear on her knee, so that wasn't a good start. But at least it's somewhere for us to go from here. It's something for me to continue training so I can work on my running and overall fitness and just kind of keep going. But I'm a week out from the race. My leg was pretty sore when I started, or after the day after the race. It was fine the day of, I was just very tired. But then the next day my knee was killing me, and I felt a little bit burnt out, if I'm honest. Taking on an Olympic distance triathlon, which I had never done before, trying to do a 12-week program, while at the same time trying to document it all and edit it while having a full-time job. That is probably the big drawback of taking on triathlon when you've got a full-time job. I said throughout the series, the real heroes of triathlon are not the pros that get to do this for a living, that get paid to do it. It's those guys, men and women, that are working the 9 to 5 and then getting out at night or getting up at 6 a.m. to go for a long cycle or a run or get to the gym so that you don't get injured. Those are the guys that are working 10 times harder than the pros that have a whole team of nutritionists and trainers behind them that are showing up every single week to do this for a little bit of fun. But at the end of the day, that is the goal, is to make it fun. And for me, for the last week, I've been so burnt out that I did not want to pick up the camera. I didn't want to talk about the race. I didn't want to think about what's next. And I say that not for sympathy, but because you've probably experienced that too. And you will experience it. It's tough at times. It's the funny thing of taking on a hobby that you're really not that good at, and that there's always going to be something you can work on, whether it be your run, your bike, or your swimming. For me, I think I can work on swimming for the next number of years, and I might knock 5 minutes off that swim. So for me, I guess I'm taking the easy way out and saying I don't want to work on the swim that much. But for me, the swim, if I was doing the front stroke rather than breaststroke, I probably would have knocked 5 minutes off that time. So if I can do that for the next one, is to do front stroke for the whole thing, that's going to be hugely positive. I don't know when that's going to be, the next one. For now, I'm just going to run, but there is swimming lessons in the hotel that I go to the gym in. So that is my next goal, is to get some swimming lessons and really learn how to breathe, because I think my aerobic fitness is pretty good. And that was the same on the run, something I should have mentioned about the run. Aerobically, I felt like I was fine. I wasn't out of breath, but my knees were killing me. My legs were so tired from the swim and the bike because of the breaststroke. So don't do what I did. Do learn how to swim and be able to confidently swim at least 1 kilometer front stroke. And I think for me, if I learn how to breathe properly, I'm not going to fall off my stroke, and I'll be able to continue doing the front stroke, or freestyle, or whatever it's called. I don't even know that. If I could continue doing that, my legs wouldn't have been half as tired getting on the bike. And I think I could have went a whole lot quicker on the run, because when I was eating my rice cake, when I left T2, I tried to get that rice cake eaten pretty quickly. I was running, I was probably 2 or 3 kilometers in, and I tried to walk just for a section. I thought, I'll finish this rice cake and then I'll get back running. But it was actually more sore to stop than it was to just keep going. As soon as I started to walk a little bit, I felt everything season up, because your body's pretty clever. It knows, okay, this guy's stopping his run. We're done. So your body starts to seize up. For as long as you're still in motion, the adrenaline is running, and it tells your body to just keep going, to just keep fighting. So for me, I think my aerobic fitness is good. If my legs weren't so tired coming off that swim, it could have been a completely different day. But look, I finished the race, so I can't complain. So that's positive. I finished the race. I got pretty close to 3 hours, so I'm happy with that result. And I've got a run booked for now 5 weeks time, and my legs are just about coming back now, a week out from the race, from the triathlon. So it's time to get back at it. I don't know what training is set up for the next number of weeks. I need to get back and talk to my AI coach, see what will get me there. I did a half marathon about 6 months ago now, It was my first and only ever half marathon. I did the first half in 1 hour. I did the second half in about 45 minutes. So I went out too slow because I was sick running into it. I had a flu and I was on antibiotics doing the race. So I underestimated how far I could push myself. So my goal should not be 90 minutes, but it is. That's what I'm going for. I may fail. I do think it's possible. I won't fail, that I will succeed and I will get to 90 minutes. But over the next 5 weeks, which again, it's not a lot of time, I would advise, the last bit of advice, if I haven't given it already, give yourself 6 months to get to your first Olympic distance triathlon. I know for me, if I gave myself 6 months, I would do nothing for 10 weeks and then I would shove it all into whatever's left. So for me, giving myself a tight deadline of 12 weeks to get ready meant I needed to start working from day one. And now with this half marathon, which is now in 5 weeks' time, I booked it almost a week ago when I had about 6 weeks to go. Now I've got 5 weeks. So for me, giving myself a hard deadline where I've got to get to work works for me. And I mean, arguably it worked out in the end for this triathlon because I got there. I got to the finish line. But if you want to see me continue to struggle in public on this, I know it'll probably change over the next number of weeks and months. I'm not going to keep doing race to race to race. I do have another couple of things in the pipeline that I want to work on. So it's not going to be race because that's also pretty crap content for the channel because I'm just out there on the road or on the bike or whatever and I can't shoot footage and it's just a whole load of talking head videos of me saying, look what I did. So if that's your kind of thing or you're enjoying this process or if there's something that you want me to jump into on the fitness side, please do reach out. Please do subscribe so I can continue to do these videos. That's it for now. That's the Olympic distance over. On to the next thing.